would like to welcome you to this webinar today on the changing trends in home buying during COVID-19 times. On the auspicious occasion also of Akshaya Tritiya, the festive wishes is the first thing I would like to start off with. Respect is a culmination of two words, trust and respect, and that forms the very basis of our existence here at Respect. Our objective is to ensure that we win the trust of customers in whatever we do and hence bring in respect for the real estate industry. To take us through the webinar today, we have with us two eclectic speakers. The first speaker, Mr. Sunil Mishra, is the Managing Director and CEO of Respect. He currently is leading the build out of Respect, a tech-enabled pan-India real estate advisory firm, enabling home buyers make the right choice. Mr. Mishra has over 2.5 decades of cross-industry, cross-functional, cross-geographic experience. He's worked for organizations such as PropTiger Housing, Karvy Private Wealth, Airtel, WorldTel, KPMG, among his previous assignments. The second speaker we have with us, Mr. Amit Sinha, is the Chief Operating Officer of Respect. At Respect, Mr. Sinha plays a varied role managing sales, partner relations, business analytics, risk management, business operations among his various roles. He too has over 2 decades of experience. He's worked for organizations such as SBI Cards, PropTiger, ICICI, NIIT, MyIris, among his previous organization, building the sales and distribution functions. So that was about the speakers. While many of us participants have already given us the questions while registering, in case during the presentation any of you may have any further questions, you could kindly WhatsApp the questions to my number on 99676 44928. I am re-mentioning the number. It is 99676 44928. The number will also appear shortly on your chat window. With this brief introduction, I would request Sunil and Amit to kindly take us through the webinar.
Great. Thanks, Varun. I'll start off and then I'll hand over to Amit at some point in time. First, let me try to share my screen. It's a pleasure sort of addressing all you guys from NCR, Gurgaon, Noida, and Delhi, and possibly Faridabad and Ghaziabad as well. We have been doing these webinars across cities, and we are talking about home buying in COVID times. As I start off with, it's always there's a mixture of good news and bad news. The bad news is that there is a PowerPoint presentation, so even it's a Sunday, you have to go through it. The good news is it's a very set of crisp 8 to 10 slides. I'll take about 4, and Amit will take about 5, 6 of those, and then we'll spend more time on the Q&As. So with your permission, I'll just share my screen and let's see what comes there. Is the presentation visible to all?
Yes. Yes.
So I'll go on the display mode and then. Yep. Is that fine?
Yes.
I love it when plays right the first time. R&D that you do to get this thing right here. So time on Sunday, we're going to talk about changing trends in home buying during COVID times. So what are the changing trends? What are the trends that will come in future, specifically in home buying? So we'll relegate ourselves to home buying. We can talk about commercial and retail asset classes on the investment sort of lines. And we are talking about during COVID times, which means current times and beyond that. We will sort of, as I promised you, there are 4 or 5 sections. 1 or 2 slides each. So that's about 8 to 10 slides that we have here. So we won't really take too much of a time walking through the slides. I'll start off with a flashback into the history in the last 10, 15, 20 years. What were the 3 big events that we have chosen that have tested Indian real estate already? And we'll compare COVID with that a bit. The second section, we'll talk about the pros and cons of buying a house versus renting, and in the changing times which are currently going through. Then Amit will take over and he'll talk through the main meat of the talk, which is the new ways of purchasing real estate in COVID-19 times and beyond. And he will also sort of crystal ball gaze a bit into what's going to happen in real estate, what are different trends which will change. I'll finally take over again to just give you a perspective on the macro economy and close the sort of presentation with how bad is the COVID really. We'll compare with a few different instances. So without much ado, before starting, I'll introduce you to the team. Sunil and Amit are there on the screen already, left on the leftmost. Varun had introduced us on the right side, and Atul is the business head for with sort of NCR. Per partner friends, Priyam is also who leads the developer relations and who would be most of the time. So with that, we'll jump into the disruptive events of the past, sort of events which we felt had a slightly bigger impact on real estate in the last 10, 15 years. And these are sort of without much ado, and I'm going to sort of skip the animation and show you the 3. Is basically 2008 global financial crisis. That was the first one. November 8, 2016 demonetization, and RERA, which was May to July 2017. We feel that these 3 had a sort of a significant impact on real estate. In the global financial crisis, if you remember, 2002 to 2008 was the phase when home prices had almost tripled. So 100 रुपए का घर 300 का हो गया था, which is a 200% increase in prices, which over a 5-6 year so sort of period is a 25 to 30% CAGR. And that's why it had attracted speculators. People were coming in and exiting in 6 months. जैसे price बढ़ते आ रहा था, उन लोग flip कर रहे थे. So 2008 marked the exit of speculators and rationalization of prices. Prices started plateauing from that time. But 2010-12 तक भी थोड़ा वो secular बढ़ा था, but in the last four years, and we'll talk about prices, that's almost sort of plateaued to a 2% or 3% increase. The real estate developers had to go through an increase in cost of funding. So very sort of easily available capital came to a halt. Banks were instructed not to lend to developers, and NBFCs started lending to developers. The third piece was a shift in luxury segment to affordable segment. So there was a whole bunch of sort of camellias and magnolias and upper worldly in Bombay getting created in that phase, and then that was a sort of a super brilliant phase for luxury segment. But after 2008 2009 more and more affordable apartments started sort of getting created. So that was the global financial crisis. November 8 2016 when Modi ji came and sort of did his first Mitro address, almost 86% of cash in our wallets and banks sort of became invalid. And there was a bit of a hoax that homes are going to, the prices are going to fall by 30%. So people who were there in real estate at that time would remember that people started waiting for that. And about 2 months, people did not buy homes thinking that home price will fall. Home price did not fall because the new home sales was already clean. There was hardly any cash there. The developers had started taking checks already. The resale sales, which is sale of older homes, used homes, and the land sales got impacted a bit during that phase. Sales got impacted, as I told you, in 2017 because of the November 2016 demo. Larger developers with better corporate governance started emerging as winners. And these are names which all of you have been reading about. Will be corporate, big corporate groups like Godrej, Mahindra, Tata, and of late Birla, Bharti in North, and a big bunch of dedicated real estate developers like DLFs, ATS, Hiranandani, Raheja, Brigade, Shobha, Puravankara across the country. These 8 to 15 developers started getting bigger market share. RERA came in 2017. That was more a supply side hit when developers stopped launching for some time to clean up the projects of the past. RERA, to my mind, was the single biggest intervention in real estate history. And that was a similar intervention which had happened in insurance after IRDA had come in, or in stockbroking when SEBI had come in, or in telecom when TRA had come in. And the biggest benefit of all this was that real estate became an industry after that. Before that, it was an unregulated sort of marketplace where people who had connections were able to succeed. But post RERA, it has become an industry which has two attributes. One is it has become structured and rewards players with corporate governance more. Second, and the bigger more advantage, that the consumers, the home buyers, are protected now. There are many rules. Is what you get. You could not sort of be sold on some brochure, and that would never be delivered as it was earlier. So RERA was a bit of a path-defining milestone for us. So these are three sort of disruptive events which we thought we should just remind this group about before we come to COVID. We'll also show you what happened in the market. People like you and consumers, they've been buying homes, and this is what has happened in the last 7 years. Don't worry about the numbers too much. These are the number of homes purchased by people like us every year over the last 7 years. And this graph, as you can see, is divided in two parts. One is the right part, which is 2016 to 2019, and you can see that they aggregate around one level. And the other is the left part, which is 2013 to 2015. And the conclusion is that an average of about 2.5 lakh homes are being purchased each year for the past 4 years. On the right side आप देखेंगे तो चारों साल में मोटा मोटा 2.5 लाख घर का एवरेज बिक रहा है every year और खरीद रहे हैं लोग. उससे पहले average is about 3.25 lakhs in the left side. So about 75,000 to 1 lakh homes have reduced in the market, and that is the investors who have left the market because prices started plateauing, and we'll show you that sort of slide as well. So all demand today is more a need-based demand. It's an end-user demand right now, and that is 2.5 lakhs. So we are pretty confident that whatever happens in the market, because you remember demonetization and RERA happened in 2017. Still in 2017 we have 2.11 lakh homes sold. So 2.5 lakh घर का तो demand है ना, because people need homes to live in. People need homes to live in, and that is the core demand of the sector that will continue whatever happens. So just wanted to give you the perspective of what has happened in the last 4 years, and hence when we come to COVID times, we'll try to take a guess at what's going to happen in 2020 as well. That's the rough context for all you guys. What happened in the interventions in real estate and what are the sales. Coming to the last piece of the first section, which is, hey, should we buy homes now or should we be on rent? And they have pros and cons both. So the left side lists the advantages of buying, and the right side lists the advantages of renting. So I won't read through all of this, but it's pretty clear that if you have your own home, you have a security of owning an asset. There is a growth potential in personal wealth as capital appreciates. And people who have come into the market in the last 7-8 years, young millennials, they have seen the last 4 years where prices have not really increased, and they have started making conclusions कि residential में तो price बढ़ता नहीं है, hence it is not a great investment. So we'll talk about that a bit more. But if you look at a longer perspective of about 15-20 years, then home prices have increased by about 10 to 15% per annum, which is same as or similar returns as equities has given. So that's the capital appreciation that we talk about in the homes. You have freedom from restrictions imposed by landlord. जहाँ आपको किला गाड़ना है आप गाड़ सकते हो अपने घर में, जहाँ पेंटिंग लगानी लगा सकते हो आप लोग. There's freedom to renovate or decorate the house. There are tax benefits as well on housing loan under sections 2480C and 80E. So there's a bunch of benefits of buying a home. There are some benefits of renting a home also, especially for some segments. Some people love staying in different homes every year. So there's a flexibility to stay in the different homes. Some people will like that. In years, this is a point that I spoke about, that last 2016 to 2020, prices have not increased too much. So one would have thought in 2015, ki, hey, let me enjoy the arbitrage, which means that मेरे rent में तो 2-3%, 2 to 3% of the capital value is my rent, while I can invest in equity in the mutual fund and get about 9 to 10%. So my 7%, 8% will be the difference in the interest, and that's the arbitrage that I'll get. However, I hope you guys are seeing the equity markets. The Sensex currently, or about a couple of weeks back, was at the same level as it was in January 2015. So if anyone had invested in mutual funds and not bought an apartment, does not have a home right now, and does not have any appreciation in the mutual fund or equities. So it's not very easy to draw such conclusions and sort of make such bets. And that's why having a home, which is your basic sort of need, is always a smart sort of decision for most of the people. Some people have a temporary outlook. They have come to the city on a deputation. So for them, they're going to stay for a year. For them, rental is better, obviously. So home is what gives you shelter in the most testing times. Stay from home, work from home. ये सब में common चीज क्या है? Home. So during the recent lockdown, you guys have got a sort of a more a better taste of what staying in home means. And I spoke about the last point that equity markets are back to 2015. So you would have been worse off if you had not invested in a home buying 4 or 5 years back and invested in equities otherwise. So that's the rough sort of pros and cons. It's a different advice for different people, but predominantly looks like buying a home would have been a smarter decision even 4 years back, leave alone 10, 15 years back, when it would clearly have been a better decision. So with that, I will request Amit to join in and take you to the meat of the discussion today, which is evolution of new ways to purchase real estate.
Thank you, Sunil. And once again, a very warm welcome to all our participants who have come on this Sunday afternoon on this webinar. And my deepest greetings for Akshaya Tritiya. Hope future augurs well for all of us. So before I move on to the evolution of purchase, new ways of purchase of real estate, I'd just like to spend some time, and reflect back on what has happened in the last 20 years on many such events, which probably we may not have noticed, but it has brought some profound changes to the way we have lived, the way we have, we have transacted, and the way we have behaved in the last 20 years. And there are some examples to showcase. And so guys, many of us would do transactions online. We purchase stocks, we buy, sell stocks. We do transactions in mutual fund online through Zerodha, ICICI Securities, HDFC Securities. But just imagine 20 years ago when you had to do such transactions. The only thing which you could have done was to keep some margin money at a broker, and that broker would do transactions on your on your account. So you would have to call up that broker, and you would advise him whether to buy HFCL or Hindustan Lever or so, and he would make transactions on your behalf. Just imagine in the last 20 years, such a profound change which has come in our life, where we do transactions online through our smartphones. 15 years ago, many of us would remember that we did not feel very, very comfortable sharing our credit cards number online to do any kind of online transactions. And I'm telling you, from my experience of spending my lifetime in selling credit cards, that even for employees like us who used to sell credit cards, we were not very, very comfortable sharing credit cards number online. We were absolutely shit scared of such things. And there were many such examples coming out from Thailand and other places, which would obviously scare you further. Thankfully, RBI came up with its own authentication and so many security layers. And just imagine, even staying during lockdown, we had all our credit card numbers are all over the world. We are using so many payment gateways, so many instruments, so many apps, and it's okay. It's quite okay. We are not scared at all. Imagine 10 years ago, and some of you may have started your professional journey at that point in time. And who would have thought that we would not buy clothes without even trying out in a trial room in Shoppers Stop or Lifestyle or any such retailer? Just imagine, how do we buy clothes now? Myntra, Jabong, Flipkart, Amazon. So we don't even bat an eyelid while surfing through these sites and buy clothes online. My mother would still be shit scared about such things, but for people like us, it's just a way of life. And I think this has been one of the biggest and the most profound transformation in the way our lives have changed. We never pause and reflect back on what has happened in the last 20 years, but I think I just wanted to set the context on how things have happened in the last 20 years and how things would happen for real estate for the next 100 years. I think one of the big transformation which is going to come now is going to come through the digital route, and especially what we have experienced especially during this COVID-19 disruption, we expect that home selling or home, is going to go digital in a big way, especially for a launch and an under construction project where a consumer may not see anything other than a brochure or a presentation, and all those things can be readily made available over a presentation online. So I think one of the big change which is going to come for home buying is going to be the digital way, and this is going to get introduced in a big way going forward. A quick recap on how all of us are spending our time, and no points for guessing. I am sure that you would have also checked your screen time, and just imagine before COVID, the study suggests that we used to spend close to 3.4 hours per day, aggregating 23.6 hours in a week on a smartphone. And by end of week 2, imagine 3.4 hours going up to 3.8 hours per day, and 26.4 hours in a week. And this is study only till week 2. By end of the entire lockdown period, who knows, this may go up to 30 hours in a week. And just imagine, guys, this is going to be a step up change. So post COVID, it's not going to come back to 3.4 hours. The truth will lie somewhere in between. So what we'll see very clearly is the amount of time which all of us individuals would be spending on our smartphones are going to go up, are going to get catapulted by few notches. Nielsen has conducted one study, this Nielsen study representing 1 lakh consumers across, say, KBC, and from age group of 15 to 44 years, to see which all elements of the phones which we are using. 20 years ago, a mobile phone was used only for calling and SMSing. Just imagine now. And at this point of time, only 10% of the time which is being used on making calls. 19% usage is happening on chat and voice over internet. 15% usage is happening on social networking. 15% is happening on utility. 14% is happening on video streaming. 9% is happening on gaming. 6% on browsing, and 11% on others. A further segmentation of the entire user suggests that 15 to 24 years old are using more time in gaming, and females are spending more time on chat compared to males. So this is going to bring about a lot of transformation, and we now know which all places users are using, and this gives a lot of insight on how people are behaving during this lockdown, and how all these elements of whether just imagine, who would have thought that we would be conducting this webinar over Zoom, where we would have all these participants, and I'm sure that all the webinars conducted all across the country, and the way this entire country is operating at this point of time through multiple reviews, meetings, everything has happened over technology, which many of us were probably not aware of prior to 22nd March. So what have we done? What have we done at Trespect to take advantage of this entire digital transformation and still continue to help our customer? Because Trespect, as Varun introduced ourselves, us in the beginning, Trespect stands for trust and respect, and one of the most important parameter which we introduce, the way we judge ourselves, is to whether we have made our consumers happy or not. So home buying, we have converted our entire home buying solution converted it from a physical world to a completely digital 360-degree digital suite. So what we do currently is, I'll just take you through the process. Our salespeople, our sales managers still continue to speak to our customers, to our prospective buyers. But what we also do is as our name suggests, instead of selling, we listen to our customer. It's most important for us to understand the requirement of a customer, understand what a customer needs, and what we do, instead of jumping on to selling and trying to force fit a product, we listen to our customer. We fill a customer know your customer form, through which we decipher all the critical elements of requirement which a customer may have. Post which, our sales team fixes up a video call with our customers, and we insist that our consumers should also get their family along, because home buying is a very serious affair, and it's a big ticket transaction. So we want to have the inputs from everybody in the family, and only after we have received our inputs from the family, what we do is that we further take the family and the consumer through our specially curated virtual site visits and virtual 3D view of all the products that we sell. So what we have done is that we have converted our entire landscape of physical assets into into digital assets, and from such presentation we take our customers through this entire journey of virtual site visits, virtual site tour, and everything, and we engage with that customer to for property discussion. Once we are able to figure out something, and once we are able to shortlist some critical products as per the requirement of our customers, basis whatever we showcase, and customer may be interested in some of these things, we also engage with our developer partners and start our discussion on inventory pricing, and we try to resolve our customer queries, and after which we finalize property, and that's how our selling process has happened. Some of you may have noticed the press release that we've had last week, where we announced that and this is data as per last week, this has gone up further from last week. We have sold close to 300 units, aggregating close to 252 crores of total sale. And this has been one of the big transformation that we have seen post-COVID. For serious home buying, as Sunil was also suggesting, it's not going to have any kind of impact, and life will be business as usual. Life will run at its own pace. So that's how it is. And we also know that for especially for products which are under launch or under construction, you don't see too much by going and visiting a site, and especially for places like Gurgaon and Noida, where there are very limited number of sites available. You have all the information available. So most of the stuff which used to happen on the physical side has already been converted on the digital side. I would request all the consumers and all our partners who are there on the call to go through this, and you will experience yourself. It's an experience in itself. Moving on. So what do we think would be the future trends of real estate in our country post COVID? So as we all know that all the big branded developers had already been garnering a huge market share, growing up from 41% to 53% in 2019. We believe that they will further consolidate their position, and good Cat A branded developers will go up to 60-65% of the market share by 2021. From whatever we have listened from our consumers, we have spoken to almost 100,000, so 1 lakh customers across 7 cities in the country. And one thing which is really coming out is that most millennials will see an increased interest in purchasing a physical asset, especially after all the stuff which has happened, as Sunil was suggesting some time ago, that people who would have invested the money in equities or mutual fund, they would have realized that ना इधर करे ना उधर करे, घर भी नहीं खरीदा और पैसा भी वहीं पहुंच गया. And especially what we saw that with interest rates coming down on savings rate, which will have its own cascading effects on fixed deposit or PPF. So people who would have invested on that side, hoping to make money on arbitrage, I think it's the best time to come and participate in purchasing something which will have a lot of connotation with respect to having a physical asset instead of having a virtual asset like equity or mutual fund, which has anyways been tossed away. Big transformation in our lives as work from home. Now all of us had to figure out what would be the ideal corner in our home which could operate as a mini office. So we believe that larger homes would be in demand, especially from a large chunk of population which would be non-sales, and some apartments will also need to have fittings like washing machine, dryers, dishwashers as basic fittings, while at the time of being getting sold to our consumers also. And I'm sure that a lot of consumers would want to automate all these services post lockdown. So as we had been suggesting, we believe that there will be a dramatic shift in the process of entire real estate transactions. And just quick 10 seconds on how this had already been happening in the NRI sales. So guys, many of us already know that NRIs were anyways doing their transactions virtually on the virtual world without even visiting the physical assets. We believe that the same trend is going to go, for all our, consumers going forward. And we expect that H2 onwards, October 2020 onward, digital sales would be close to 25% of the total sale. And especially with smart edge players like us, who have already converted all the physical assets into virtual suite. So it does not make a difference, for a consumer to go through the right set of product and right set of knowledge before he makes an informed choice. Home loan rates are at its lowest, in this decade, and I think more and more salaried people would think about purchasing a home and continue to take advantage of home loan benefits. Just moving on to a quick recap of how the markets of NCR looks like. So Gurgaon has been displaying amazing tenacity even in the times of adversity, and it's one of the most serious. I stay in Gurgaon, so I know it's a very serious market with very serious buyers, and it can be, it has already emerged as a very bankable micro market in the entire region. Now Gurgaon has got a very eclectic mix of products across all categories. So if you want product in luxury, if you want product in mid segment, if you want products in affordable, Gurgaon has to offer all kind of products. The kind of impetus and the push which the governments have given to Dwarka Expressway is further going to accelerate that market. And serious buyers in Gurgaon are looking at products which are near completion or products which are already completed. So our team are ready to move in inventory. We'll see a lot of push from our buyers. And we expect that 3 important micro markets of New Gurgaon, Dwarka Expressway, and Sona Road will continue to hog the lion's share in all the transactions which will happen in Gurgaon going forward also. Moving on to a quick recap of Noida. Noida again is very important market. One of the important markets of NCR. And Noida, besides housing top IT enabled services, industrial, all the media is based in Noida. Noida is hub of mobile phones, electronics. So Noida again has emerged as a huge market for salaried customers who would have this basic requirement of staying in a home, and especially after coming out of this experience of COVID. 46% of sales in NCR happens in Greater Noida. And people like us who have got access to Noida, many of us would have visited Noida, and we know that Noida has got amazing connectivity in rail, in roads to all parts of NCR, and that really is a hallmark of that market. Noida has a lot of green space, a lot of land availability for residential development, and that also acts as as a key element for that market. Home buyers in Noida, they are currently looking at products which are under construction or near to construction, and important micro markets like Sector 150 or Greater Noida West and your Expressway will continue to enjoy the benefits of the consumers' participation in these markets. So with this, I will now hand over to Sunil on important elements of this webinar to take us through.
Thanks, Amit. So thanks for taking us to the main piece on the change of behavior and buying digitally, and of course the relevant micro market details. More interesting was the future trends as well. What's going to happen, and this is going to happen in the next 3 to 24 months. I have the last 2 slides. One is the outlook on prices, because this is a question which has come up to us in earlier webinars. So we have added this piece. And the last piece is we'll take a quick look at the macro economy, what is GDP going to go like, and what does that mean? What does all 1.8% rate means? So first one, outlook on prices, and this we have covered in bits and pieces here and there. So prices of homes have remained sort of almost flattish with a 2% increase annually for the last 5 years. If you subtract inflation, which is about 6% again, so 2 minus 6 is minus 4. So 5 years, prices have actually fallen by 20% in the last. When people come to me and ask, hey, will the prices fall? I said, hey, it has already fallen 20%. Which other goods in the market sort of prices have fallen for 20% and you think will fall more? The second reason is that branded developers are aggregating bigger market share, as Amit had pointed out in the trends. So that 41% has gone to 60%, and these are top 20 developers. ऐसे भी नहीं कि 100 developer की बात कर रहे हैं. तो top 10 to 20 developers हैं, इनके market share बहुत बढ़ गया है, and these are the strong big corporate guys who will stay here for 10, 20, 30, 50 years. These guys have a great capacity to hold prices. They don't have balance sheets which are leveraged, and they are not in any sort of big pressure to repay loans. So they are not going to drop prices in a hurry. So that's the second sort of reason. Third reason is that profit and loss statements for the developers have almost shrunk because the costs have been going up, cost of steel, cement, etc. In these COVID times, the construction migrant laborers have gone back home. They will come back in 3-4 months. That will further lead to escalation of costs. So any reasonable P&L leader, it's going to be very tough to drop prices there and hence reduce revenue, which will lead to almost making a losses, not even shrinking of profits. So we do not expect a fall in prices, a dramatic fall in prices. There will be bits and pieces, smaller developers, SBD single building developers who may give some sort of discounts here and there to sort of get out of that stock. So you should keep an eye on that if you are ready to buy such a product. And hopefully it should be ready to move in and not under construction, because if there is such a developer with an under construction product, it may be risky to bet on that. So you can get some discounts here and there. Once you sit with the developers, you may get some sort of schemes. You may get some a parking free or whatever. You should take that. But if you are going to bet on a X% fall in prices across the board, that is not going to come right now or in any point. Whatever any bigwig guy in the industry, in the home industry or the home finance industry would have told, this is not really going to happen sort of across the board. So that's our outlook on prices. That's our outlook. The last piece is to get a perspective on the economy, right? So सब लोग कह रहे हैं GDP growth rate 1.8% हो जाएगा. So what does that mean to us in real life? So हमने क्या किया थोड़ा almost it's a history lesson. हम लोग 1960s तक चले गए, and we have seen instances in the history of India when GDP fell dramatically. Either went to negative growth, which is degrew, or fell dramatically over the last year. So we found there were 6 sort of instances. And ऊपर वाला graph को देखिए, नीचे वाला is not so important. ऊपर वाला is the GDP growth rate, which is the 4, 5, 6% जो होता है ना. So there are 6 instances in the history of India when GDP had actually become negative in the first 3 instances, as you can see, or had fallen dramatically and reached close to 0 in the last 3 instances that you saw. And I don't want to make it a quiz, but you can just rejig your memory. जो पहला वाला circle दिख रहा है वो 1965 के around है, दूसरा 1972 के around है. So these are the instances. So there are 6 instances. 1965, remember Pakistan war, GDP growth rate was minus 2.64% in that year, and it had fallen from the last year by 10%. In 1972, after the Bangladesh war, the oil crisis as well, GDP growth rate had fallen to minus 0.55%. It had fallen by 2.5% from 2.2% from earlier year. 1979, post-emergency. I don't know if anyone is around who remembers that or whose parents would have told you stories about that. But that was a time when businesses were not welcome in India. IBM and Coke had to shut shop temporarily. GDP had fallen by minus 5.24% that year, guys, down by 11%, and so on and so forth. 1991, no points for guessing again. Remember, Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh had launched the liberalization, privatization, globalization program. GDP growth rate was 1.06%. Tech and telecom was 3.8%. So, don't want to sort of berate this point a lot. But when someone says, when Geeta Gopinath says कि 1.8% GDP will grow for India in 2020, then ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि पहले कभी हुआ नहीं ऐसे, है ना? So if people think that hey, this is sort of unprecedented, ना भविष्य ना भूत में हुआ ऐसा, this has happened. This has happened 6 times and terribly so. You know? So in fact, the first 4 instances have been much worse. What has happened? Hum jinda hai? Yeah. We have survived? Yes, we have. So that's the tenacity word that Amit mentioned for the markets. It applies to India as well. Currently, we have a much, much better economic fabric. We have got a phenomenal forex balance thanks to Raghuram Rajan's sort of programs which started 7-8 years back. There are about 220 million people in poverty, which is just about on a base of 1.3 billion. It's about 15%. Post-independence, we had 70 to 80% people in poverty. So we are much, much better off right now. And a 1.8% GDP growth rate is bad. But ऐसा कुछ नहीं कि कोई पहाड़ गिरने वाला है या we're going to roll off the cliff. We just wanted to give you the perspective of what life is happening. Of course, there'll be some job rationalizations, jobs cuts in bits and pieces here and there. Small businesses will go through a turmoil, if not a catharsis. but we are Indians. We sort of have great entrepreneurial spirit and we have animal spirits. So we should come out of this with sort of our honors intact and heads held high. See, because home buying is a very serious sort of event. It is a decision for 10 to 20 years of life. So, we 50 days sort of materially alter that decision. It will be sort of postponed here or there, but if you need a home, you have to buy a home, right? Because as someone had said almost 2000 years back, there's a philosopher called Pliny Jr., that home is where the heart is. And finally, we all know that home is a not only a quasi-emotional decision, quasi-emotional, quasi-investment decision. It is an emotional decision finally, and it takes hands to build a house, but only hearts can build a home. So with that, sort of, we'll stop this, and I hope we have been able to communicate some of the decisions and some of our forecasts for the future well. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Sunil. Thanks, Amit, for taking us through this webinar and sharing your views on the trends in the real estate industry. We will now start with the questions and answers. I've got about 14 questions with me, so we'll go one by one, and depending on the time we have, in case some questions are left unanswered, we will reach out to the participants one-on-one later on with the answer to their questions, so that all questions are answered. So I'll start with the first question received. It says that what will be the COVID-19 impact on Gurgaon residential and commercial real estate market in 2020?
Sunil, with your permission, may I take this question?
Please, Amit.
Arun, thanks for asking this. I think this is a very important question, and it is also playing on to the mind of all of us, and especially consumers who have to make such transactions and who have to make such decisions. I think, before I go on to answer this question, I think just from what Sunil said a couple of minutes ago, home buying is a really serious affair, and one does not buy home to do transactions, especially for end users. It's a decision which is going to, hold on for next 10 to 15 years at least. So as we explained during the webinar, we have seen most of the disruptions in the real estate industry are temporary. So while we thought that the world will come crashing during demonetization, or when GST came in, people thought that this will be end of many such industry. It did not happen. And people who were smart, they continue to do transactions, they continue to purchase, and now at this point in time are happily living in their own homes. When people are talking about work from home, stay at home, they are staying in a rented place where they have to go under so many rules and regulations which may not work in their favor. So people who are intelligent enough to make those choices are happy. So these things do not last very long, and things will again get restored back to normalcy. And Gurgaon, as we know, it's one of the most resilient markets, not only in NCR but across the country. It has got very serious buyers, which I think will not get distracted by such flimsy or such disruption. They are smart enough to think and take a broad view over the next 10 to 20 years. So during this COVID-19, in case if you are a serious buyer, it gives a customer a great chance to negotiate a good deal with the customers, good deal with the developer, when sales are slightly disrupted. So, what would be a good deal? The good deal would be to talk about something like a great payment plan, which may work in favor of a consumer. He may good negotiation on some cashback, on some and some some discounts on parking or on club charges. And I think we have had our discussions with our developer partners, and developers may also not mind extending such benefits to our consumers. But most importantly, the message for our buyers would be to focus only on good branded developers, because that's where your money should stay stable, and these are the people with good. So do not imagine any prices to get fall from there. But you can do a good negotiation and get some good stuff for yourself. And I think that's what a smart buyer would do in these times.
Thanks, Amit. The next question is, what's the expectation with the real estate in India for the next 5 years?
Okay, so while Sunil mentioned that Geeta Gopinath he alluded to the fact that Geeta Gopinath mentioned that India will grow at 1.9%. But I also know that she has also referred, IMF has published this data that most of the world economy and big countries like US, Europe will go negative, -5%, -7%. Economies like Spain, or Italy will get big time. The only two and the two economies which would be beacon of growth in the world in terms of larger economy would be India and China, which would still grow at 1.8 or 1%, which is going to be good news. So as we discussed during the webinar, even in the worst years for real estate after demonetization in 2016, when people said that the world will come crashing and they will across equities and mutual fund who kind of played Pied Piper and brought all customers to equity mutual fund and lost everything. So they have gone back to 2015 time. Even during those dark ages of real estate, India still sold 2.1 lakh home in top 7 cities. And as Sunil also discussed, it's a serious it's a serious transaction. So agar I have to purchase home not because I want to do transaction or I want to do trade, because I want to stay in that house. So even during the most distressed period for home buying during demonetization in 2016, the country still sold 2.11 lakhs home in top 7 cities. We expect 2020 to be slightly subdued year compared to the unprecedented growth which it had seen in the last. However, still we expect close to 1.9 lakhs homes would get sold. Even 2020. We expect a bounce back in 2021 to reach similar levels of 2.6 lakhs home like in 2019 or even possibly higher. We are hearing all those news of outsourcing and manufacturing businesses of China getting shifted to countries like India, which further generate good employment. And given the impetus and focus which this government has on infrastructure, so it's blind trust which all of us should have on this government, that infrastructure is going to really get big lift up in the next couple of years, and real estate is part of that infrastructure. So I think the next 5 years, real estate transactions should get doubled, where it is so close to 4.5 lakhs units should get sold. So I think, considering that the nature of the transaction is very, very serious, and the nature of buyer is also very serious, and great things happening for India when this COVID-19 is being playing out, I think it bodes well for the industry, for real estate per se.
Thanks, Amit. The next question is how should we look at Indian real estate after this lockdown, keeping in view the economy slowdown for the short term? The question is specifically for the short term.
Okay, so I will give my response in short term, long term as well, Varun. While this may not be the maybe slightly more than answering what is being asked.
Sure.
Real estate, as we know, it's a serious business, and we have always recommended that one should only look at good branded developers to fund dream homes. So it's not that you want to make quick bucks in a stock market. In stock market, one of the big mistakes which a retail investor usually do, that he try to buy penny stocks and he may imagine to sell it in 5 days or 6 days and and get good returns. Nahi hota hai. It never happens. People fall into this trap and they lose their money. Real estate is a different ball game altogether. It's like education. In education, like you would want to graduate or school from the best of the best colleges, it is a similar stuff. It's like education holds us in good state for 40 years, 50 years, for our lifetime. Real estate transactions are also, similar to that, these stuff. You don't buy a home for 1 year or 2 years. Those nature of speculators or investors are already out of the market. So when we saw this, when Sunil was sharing the slides on the nature of transactions, we saw that a good chunk of 75,000 to 1 lakh customers who were mostly speculators in nature are already out of the market. This leaves us with a segment which is really serious about home or real estate. So this is the right time. There was never a good time to focus on good branded developers. They have really deep pockets. They have got access to capital, and they will help you with not only delivery of your home, but also a good quality home.
Thanks, Amit. The next question is, what best offers should a buyer avail after COVID-19 period?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think that's a great question, and we all know that one may get best prices during, because people may still want to get some kind of sales momentum. I think these offers may vary from developer to developer. One caveat I will attach, that even when you are looking at offers, focus only on good branded developers. And these offers could be things like a good discount or discount to a payment plan. One may look at a very interesting payment plan which may help the further cash flow, which may help the cash flow of a customer for next couple of years. Some developers may also give some waiver on registration, right? Utilize that. Some may give some kind of discounts on parking, and some on let's say on PLC. So I think this is the right time to negotiate with good developers to get some or the other stuffs which otherwise may not, which consumers may not get. Remember that it will not take much time. If prices did not fall during demonetization, almost everybody had predicted that real estate will crash. Then nothing is going to happen even after this. And interestingly, at this time, it's not only real estate, but everybody else is sailing in the same boat. So kuch nahi hoga. So are we saying that because all this, Hindustan Lever is going to reduce its prices? Nahi hoga na. Ashirwad Atta and all those things will still continue to get sold on MRP. So good branded developers will never reduce the prices. Good time to get in the market, get good offer. As they say, the best time to buy clothes is during spring or fall sale. This is the same. अगर हमने इसमें मौका छोड़ दिया तो हम इसी प्रोडक्ट को एक महीने के बाद शायद कुछ we may not enjoy the benefits. So that's the point which I want to make.
Thanks, Amit. The next question is, how comfortable do you think customers will be with digital buying of a house?
But should I take that?
Yeah, sure, Sun. Go on.
Because you had covered this in the presentation, and I also want to talk about this, so I'll take this one. So this is, of course, the most exciting part of where the industry is going. As Amit had mentioned during the presentation on the digital piece, if you remember when Jeff Bezos had built an online bookstore in 1997, people had called him crazy. And he mentioned about Jabong, Myntra, the way buying apparel has changed. If we had spoken about it 15 years back, people would have rolled their eyes. Today, how online e-commerce is a reality. Homes, of course, are a very large investment sort of product that a middle class Indian will be doing, and hence may need more research. However, if you think very coolly, 75% of homes being purchased are newly launched or just about to start construction or start. In any of these, वहाँ site पे कुछ होता तो है नहीं, घर तो होता नहीं है. Finally, you go there, see brochures, possibly you see a audio visual video at the developer's sort of sales office, and finally you shake hands with the developer salesperson to clinch the deal. In fact, it is to be argued the other way around, that if there is a phenomenal virtual sort of a tour with a drone on the locality, with the 3D tour of the project, with the floor plan and the 3D of walkthrough of the apartment, then there's chances that you will get a better idea. In fact, you can even mix furnitures and fixtures online and see what suits best to your apartment. So for that bunch of almost 75% of sales will lend itself very gracefully and beautifully to be sold online. For example, I'm just throwing a hypothetical situation on you. If there is a lockdown for the next 12 months or 18 months and you need a home, right? Because 2.5 लाख लोग घर चाहिए, सबका किसी बच्चे का एडमिशन हो रहा है जून में, उसको नजदीक मूव करना है अपने स्कूल के, तो क्या होगा? थोड़ी people are going to postpone it for 1 or 2 or 3 years. This is a product which people need it. So one
so that was just a hypothetical sort of situation I gave. But people should be strong, and especially for these projects which are not there on the site as well, you may as well as go and close it. Is what I think. Taking a bet, Varun, on what percentage of sales will go online, because that's a question which has come up in multiple forums. So हम लोग को बहुत बड़े विजनरी नहीं है कि हमको लग रहा है कि 100% homes will be sold online after a year. So lockdown will continue for a month. Virtual voluntary lockdown will continue for 2-3 months. You know, when people like you and me will be worried to go out in restaurants, malls, and possibly on the site as well of the developer. But we feel that in April, May, June, which is Q1, almost 100% of homes sold will be online. In Q2, which is July, August, September, almost 50% of homes will still be sold online because people like you and me may not want to go out to see the site. And October onwards, which is Q3 onwards, we still feel that 25 to 30% homes will still be sold online. And that is the point which Amit had mentioned कि 3.4 hours से 4 घंटा हो गया per day, और वो 4 घंटा फिर से 3.4 hour नहीं जाएगा, 3.7, 3.8 पे आके रुकेगा, because that's a change of behavior. So 25% homes being sold online from the current 0 to 5% is a huge change in buyer behavior, and that's what is going to happen from October onwards or December 2020 onwards. Varun, that's a long sort of answer, but that's a critical piece of the whole discussion.
Sure. Thanks, Sunil. The next question is, what is the approximate price drop Prospect has observed lately in the market?
To answered a couple of times by Amit himself that I don't know, the question is ki what have you observed in the past, not in the future. Future to हमने detail में discuss किया था, but the answer remains the same. Amit mentioned that there have been tactical sort of schemes, discounts, and offers by different developers who are in different stages of inventory offloading. So I won't put a number there, but I think it is 0 to 6-7% of the whole apartment value that discounts are being given. And I say 0 as well because many developers are feeling strong with their product, with their brand, with their inventory sort of holdings, so they are not giving any discount. And it may have gone to 6-7%, including the freebies that were thrown in. So that's what we have helped some of our customers secure. But we are not, we are really taking a strategic view and long-term view. If you need a home, then you need a home. You take the small sort of schemes and get in. But I think in the overall scheme of things, don't worry too much about this. Focus on what is your need and fulfill that.
Thanks, Sunil. We are just towards the end of our time till 12:30. So I'll just take one last question, which says that post-COVID, do you see a new categories of home buyers emerging in the NCR market?
Sure. So again, Amit had mentioned that in his slide on trends. So there are two clear trends which I could pick up from his slide and sort of repeat that. One is millennials, post-millennials, welcome to reality. So and my I've got a 17-year-old daughter, so I keep on sort of having my millennial generation X fights with her. So guys, if you thought that co-living and sort of PG and student living was your permanent sort of passport to life, it's not going to happen, right? If you invested your monies in equities and stayed on rent, then you had a rude shock to your assets. Having been a CEO of a wealth management company earlier, I still sort of advise on a spread out asset allocation for anyone at any age. But I'm seeing, Varun, to answer your question, millennials buying more and more homes. Home is a place to stay in, as has been shown in the COVID lockdown. Second is larger apartments for a particular second user, second buyer, second home buyer will be in vogue now. People have missed an additional 2.5 BHK where there could have been an office or a den, and you could have gone and avoided your wife or husband in the last 30 to 45 days. So that is a pretty serious segment, and I'm of course joking about the spouse part, but there is a need for space, and people are going to sort of some bunch of people are going to go for that. So these are two trends that I can put my sort of finger on from all that Amit had covered.
Sure. Thanks, Sunil. There are, like I mentioned, a few more questions, but we will answer those questions one-on-one with the participants due to paucity of time here. So that brings us to the end of this webinar, and I would like to thank each one of you for taking time out on a Sunday morning to attend this webinar. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. All the best.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.